he was ours. And we love Luka, and I would love to see him win a championship, but I hate that it's going to be for the purple and gold when he does that.
6 months ago, I would never cheer for the Lakers. Never in a million years. I even bought my son a Luka Lakers jersey a couple days ago, finally. And
amazing moments to guide us, all my teammates, coaches, and the most importantly, the fans.
I'm always going to be a Mavs fan. They're our local team, but will I be as emotionally invested in them? It's going to take a lot of rebuilding our trust in the franchise going forward.
It would probably take until Luka is out of the NBA because the NBA was my favorite sport, and to have that happen to your favorite team, favorite sport, just kind of, you gotta have the painful memories before you can start thinking.
you just have no reason to believe in anything that they might throw at us because it just doesn't make sense. It's still, and it will never make sense, the reason for them trading away Luka from this team.
In Bay Area, 1 in 4 families struggle to make ends meet. These are neighbors, single parents, and households big and small, doing their best to survive. And every day demands more. That's why at United Way Bay Area, we give people resources and opportunities to grow. So they can turn pain into power, the grind into growth, and struggle into stories. Let's build a United Bay Area. Give today at UWBA.org.
Grab the keys to a new Toyota. Make this season the reason to hit the road. Answer the call to California Adventure with Toyota's legendary reliability. Lease Tacoma for just $199 a month, or get low financing or $3,000 cash back on Tundra. Plus, check out the all-new 4Runner. Places. Grab the keys to a new Toyota. Make this season the reason to hit the road. Answer the call to California Adventure with Toyota's legendary reliability. Lease Tacoma for just $199 a month, or get low financing or $3,000 cash back on Tundra. Plus, check out the all-new 4Runner. Let's go places.
Tonight, this message is gaining steam.
So let me say very simply, I want more babies in the United States of America.
Well, it's led to what's called the pro-natalist movement, and it's getting more popular because of messages from Vice President Vance and Elon Musk, who, of course, has at least 13 children with multiple women. CNN's Nina Durson is out front at the 2025 Natal Conference, because yes, there is a conference.
Raise your hand if you are a mom or a dad in the room here tonight. This is the war for civilization, and we are going to win it, one life at a time.
We're here at NatalCon, which is a gathering of about 200 people from all over the world who have come here because they all feel very strongly that the world needs more babies.
There's a civilizational catastrophe coming. The way to solve it is to have sex. Like, that's got to be the easiest pitch in history.
Birth rates around the world are plummeting, and they think this is the issue of our time.
It's a massive conversation, and that's why we're here.
We need to encourage more people to get married and have kids. We need those people to be the people of the future.
Many countries are no longer having enough kids to replace their populations. Some experts predict this will cause labor shortages and inflation, permanently changing the economy. The people most passionate about this call themselves pronatalists.
People are like, why are high fertility people always so weird?
Malcolm and Simone have 4 kids, soon to be 5, and are some of the loudest advocates for pronatalism.
What we've seen is pronatalism and demographic collapse have become the global warming of the right. Some of the first people who really recognize the scale of the problem are major players in the White House right now. You know, like J.D. Vance, Elon Musk.
The growth rate is very low in almost every country. And so unless that changes, civilization will disappear.
Elon Musk's fixation with population collapse has pushed pronatalism into the spotlight. His tweets about NatalCon helped double attendance for this year's event, where the tickets cost $1,000.
Yes, I spent all of my savings coming here actually.
Do you want to have kids?
Yes.
You don't have kids?
No.
How many do you want to have?
Well, minimum 5. I want to have my first 22, and then I want
Okay, you gotta get on that.
Yeah, I know.
Organizers said they heard a lot of interest in matchmaking, so they gave yellow wristbands to singles to help them find each other. You have a yellow wristband,
Yes.
so you're
You're
open to mingling.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Have you met anybody good?
I'm not sure if you can tell. There's a lot of lads here. There's not that many ladies.
The speakers are largely dry economist types, focused on tweaks to boost birth rates, from tax credits to housing. But politically, the vibe is firmly right-wing.
The marginal people need to go back to the market.
Is families. The left catch.
Bad news. It was just.
It's pretty difficult to draw a neat, tight circle around everybody here. Like the far right or the extreme right, like we would like to have more babies, but we would like to have more of our babies. On the other end, people like more babies are always good, whether it's babies or immigrants. And the other axis, trad Catholics, Mormons, and then like a kind of tech bro or tech futurist, genetic selection of embryos, trying to refine the quality of the babies that are born.
Because the Collinses are building their family through IVF, using experimental testing to rank embryos for traits from health risks to intelligence, they get one of the biggest criticisms of pronatalism, that it's code for eugenics.
Eugenics is when you say these are good traits, these are bad traits.
This is just people choosing among their own embryos. We're not talking about sterilizing people or all the classic problems that are out there with eugenics.
Ahead of the conference, press coverage called out some speakers as race science promoters and eugenicists, and students accused the event of hosting Nazis, a criticism organizer Kevin Dolan dismissed.
You can't be governed by people calling you names. I think that these ideas, they're not going to come from people who don't want to hurt any feelings.
Do you feel like there's a risk of alienating people with the kind of speakers you've selected and that tenor?
Of course.
And is that a risk for the larger cause?
I mean, some of those people are polarizing. They're my friends. And I'm not going to chuck them under the bus.
We can't let the right own things that are that fundamental.
Paul Constance was the only liberal we met the whole weekend.
Because I think it's a really big topic, and progressives need to be in the conversation.
Why is this such a big deal to you?
So I have kids in their 20s. Young people today feel very hesitant or unable to form families. It's very easy to talk about cat ladies and to imply that people on the left don't care about kids. It's much harder to actually put forward policies that would make everyone of any political stripe be more inclined to form a family.
I think that one of the things that often gets skipped over in any discussion of natalism today is kind of the actual lives of women who make decisions about whether or not to bring a child into the world. Don't forget about the ladies. Don't forget about the people who have the babies.
And I think you can see that.
And I think you can see that crowd is pretty homogenous, very white, largely male. We heard many of the speakers had to drop out because they were pregnant. So lost a lot of women that way. A lot of men told us they were there repping their wives because, when you have a big family like that, you can't travel to a conference. It becomes very expensive and someone has to do that childcare. So I think this lack of diversity kind of shows this is a self-selecting group. This message is kind of staying within these bubbles for now. And while these people are quite panicked about this, a lot of experts we spoke to for this piece said collapse is really a little overblown.
Yeah, it is amazing that Washington is such an incredible report, but it did stand out so many white men. I mean, that's who was represented there. I mean, thank you so much.
Two of Italy's great fashion houses to be united. Prada is buying its rival Versace. It's a $1.4 billion debt deal. Shares of Versace's parent company, Capri Holdings, fell as fears escalate over potential impacts of US tariffs. Prada is seeking to expand as it defies a slowdown in the luxury sector. A very different story for Versace, which has operated at a loss in recent quarters. Bryce Quillen is the co-founder of the strategy firm. It's a working title. With me from Washington. Why are they doing this deal? What difference? Who gets what?
So I think that
for Prada, this is an opportunity to sort of create a made in Italy sort of mega label to kind of allow them to better compete with what are significantly larger competitors from France, with LVMH and Richemont. Even with the merger, it still leaves them substantially smaller than their French giants. But this is an opportunity to kind of bring home a historic Italian label in Versace with a very specific aesthetic and create that kind of Italian tour de force to bring to the luxury space. And then for but it's fairly straightforward. Versace is a loss-making option for them, at least it has been for a while. They want to focus on Michael Kors.
How is Prada, though? Its previous acquisitions have been difficult, and they're going to now have to bring Versace in, nurture it, but not infect it in a sense, and allow a very different look to coexist with the main Prada brand.
I think that's true.
I think that's true, and some have raised concerns on how well Versace will sit in the Prada Group stable member Miu Miu, which has had just absolutely astronomical success in the past couple of years. And as you know, some of the consolidations that Prada has done in the past have been, I think people have judged have not been particularly well managed. So clearly they'll have to respect Versace, they'll have to give them the independence, and all of this, of course, takes place against a backdrop of a very difficult time for the industry.
So that is important. Now, look, these luxury items now facing higher tariffs, 10% higher, because it's EU, so it was going to be 20, now it's 10. What's the luxury market saying? Never mind Prada, just LVMH. What are they saying about the difficulties that they're now all going to face trading into the United States?
I think right now everybody's kind of in a wait and see sort of posture, just as they are in any kind of retail vertical, given the uncertainty over the direction of the trade regime. But for luxury in particular, these difficulties come after a very difficult 2024. Post-pandemic, you had this kind of super cycle in the industry. Last year was kind of a return to earth. There was a hope in the industry that 2025 would be better, driven by the U.S. consumer. Now it appears that that's not going to be the case. The Chinese consumer doesn't appear to be coming to the rescue as they have for, frankly, the last 10 years or so. So I think the industry now doesn't know which direction growth can come, and everyone's sitting on cash. They've got to manage inventory. Like everywhere else, this has put a freeze on investment.
An opportunity to say something briefly, if you could, to President Trump. Congressman Tran, let me start with you.
I don't have a message for him per se, but rather to the American people. I believe that we live in this country, this amazing country that my parents who were refugees came to. This is a privilege for us to be here. And I don't take that for granted. I don't take it for granted. To don the uniform to serve our country, we have to continue to protect them and watch out for them. Those who work in our federal government and want to serve in wearing a different uniform, we got to watch out for them as well. These things that we're seeing and what I'm hearing tonight, they talk about interest rates are down and low. That's dandy. But if you can't even afford your groceries at the store, why are you caring about buying a car or a house with interest rates? We elected a man to bring down costs at the grocery stores. We're not seeing that. So maybe they should focus on what the American people elected him to do, which was bring down costs at the grocery store.
Thank you, Congressman Tran. Congressman McKenzie, I want to give you an opportunity as a freshman member of Congress to speak directly to the Commander-in-Chief. You probably don't get those opportunities all the time. What would your message be to President Trump?
I think the three things that we clearly campaigned on, myself and the president, where we align, are bringing down costs for everyday Americans. And the representative rightly brought that up. And so thankfully, again, today, small progress was made in the inflation number coming down, but a lot of work is yet to be done. I know so many people are still struggling from the high prices resulting from Biden inflation after 4 years. And so what we have to do is we have to pass legislation that will actually reduce costs for everyday Americans, working families, seniors, and so many others. We also need to make sure that we bring down the cost of energy. That is one of the single biggest inputs into everything in our economy. And so that's going to be in our reconciliation language as well. The second thing that we should be focused on and working on is continuing to secure the border and protect our country from illegal immigration. And third is the issue that we just talked about. We have to bring about peace around the world so that all of these foreign conflicts are put to an end. And the only way that we can do that is having a strong military and a strong commander-in-chief who wants to find that peace as well.
Congresswoman Hayes, do you have a message for President Trump?
Yes. Yes, I do. I have been here a little longer than my colleagues, and I was elected during the first Trump administration. I've had legislation signed into law under both President Biden and President Trump. I am a Democrat, but I am willing to work whenever and wherever I can to find common ground. My message is that many of these policies are unnecessarily cruel. You are the President of the United States, and people are hurting right now. People are afraid and they're scared. And legislating through executive order with no explanation to the American people about their future, about their 401ks, about their children's education, about their health care. I'm sure there are things where we can figure out what we agree on and work our way out. But this chainsaw approach is scaring the American people. And I think we just need to ratchet down a notch. Turn it down. Come back to the table, negotiate with Congress, work with Democrats on behalf of the American people. Because in this election, as much as we talk about, or the Republicans talk about a mandate,